Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I have a new layout and video to share for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2020 January kits again. And my theme for today is rainbow, and that is my favorite theme ever. And this paper is perfect for that. It's from Pretty Little Studios' My Favorite Story. And I'm going to use that gorgeous light minty blue color cardstock as my background. And then these are the photos I'm going to scrap. I printed these out on a 4x6. I just shrunk them down to little tiny squares, and we were just taking some cute selfies on the couch one day, and I thought the yellow in her shirt would bring out the yellow in the rainbow. So I kind of have an idea floating around of what I'm going to do with these rainbows. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut them out. You know me, I can't ever leave a paper as is. It's very rare. I'm just thinking of ways to cut it out and use it in a different way. So yeah, these rainbow stripes were pretty easy to cut, just took a little bit of time. But they kind of have a little white border and then a thin black line, and I tried to leave that in there. I just thought it made it a little more interesting. And so I think I'm going to arrange it like this. Kind of rainbow, but kind of different, and I like how that looks. And I think that the photo strip will go perfect kind of right there in the middle where the two rainbows overlap. And I kind of turned it a couple different ways, but I decided to do it this way. So I kind of have a traditional rainbow there, and then I use the other one kind of going in the opposite direction. And I thought it was just a fun, different take on rainbow. So first thing I'm going to do is glue all of these little strips down and go from there. I know I've said this in my previous two videos using the 2020 January kits, but I have never loved a cardstock kit more. The colors in the cardstock kit are so beautiful this month. They match everything perfectly, and a lot of them have this beautiful shimmer to them. Can you see that shimmery shine? I think I've used shimmery cardstock on all of my pages for this month. Yeah, I haven't used white as a background at all, which is rare for me because you know I love white backgrounds. But I just can't resist these beautiful cardstocks, and they match so well. So they're perfect. All right, so I'm going to trim off the edges of these rainbows here. And now I've got my background started. And I'm definitely going to do some mixed media. And so I'm going to start with some white gesso here that I dropped. Thank goodness the lid was on it. And I'm just going to use my hand here. I'm going to do a little bit at a time because I mainly want some white, hazy, cloudy effects behind the photo and a little bit on top of the rainbow. Not a lot. I'm not trying to white out anything. I'm just trying to, I got a little too much there. I'm just trying to prep the paper, number one, for the mixed media, basically the liquid and the water, everything I'm going to add to it, but also to add a little bit of white. So it's kind of hard to see here because the cardstock is kind of light, but you can see there. I just added some more layers, and I've got a little bit on top of where the rainbows overlap. And then I'm going to go from there. I'm going to go ahead and get my pictures ready here. I'm using a little bit of tissue paper behind there and then some adhesive foam. And so now that's ready to go. It's popped up off the page, and I can kind of move it around here and there. And I thought about cutting the photos up, but then I like the way they looked in the photo strip, so I'm just going to leave them as they are. All right, so I'm going to mix and match a couple colors here. This first pink that I just used there is from this month's color kit. It's the Lindy's Magical, and it's a flat, which means it does not have any shimmer to it, and it's called Plumeria Pink. And then I'm going to mix that with Cocklebell's Coral, which is also Lindy's, and we got that several months ago, and it's more of like a rosy pink color. And you know, there's actually three different color shades of pink / coral in the rainbows, and so I wanted a couple of variations on the pinks. And I find that mixing different, two different colors of the powders often will give me the perfect shade that I'm looking for. So if you have been getting the color kits each month, then you should have a ton of the Lindy's powders built up in your stash. And so, keep those close, because chances are every month when we get new kits, you're going to be able to pull colors from those past kits to mix and match. I do that all the time, and it's perfect because I'm always able to get just the exact color that I'm going for. So all I'm doing here is sticking my wet brush in the powder, dabbing it on the paper, and then adding more water to activate the powder, and then just kind of using the brush and tilting the paper to kind of let the color run and blend. And yeah, the gesso is what allows all the colors to spread and blend together. Otherwise, it would just soak right through the paper. So the gesso is kind of a barrier for that, and it's perfect. So I love how that dried a little bit lighter. I didn't want it to be too dark. I always want the backgrounds to enhance the papers and the photos. I never want it to take away from anything. And so since this is a soft rainbow, I wouldn't necessarily call this, the primary color rainbow. It's more of a soft pastel rainbow. So I want the colors in the background to also be soft. So this blue color that I'm using, we got a long time ago. It's called Tiffany Lou Blue. It's also Lindy's, and it's a Starburst spray. I can't even remember. I think that was the first month we started getting Lindy's, which, again, I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But I just spray a little bit of that down, dilute it with water to lighten it up a little bit, and then just kind of use the brush to dab the color around. And this is definitely more of a bluish turquoise color, which was a little darker than the blues in the papers. So by diluting it and dabbing a little bit of it up here and there, it's definitely going to soften it up, which is good. And I love that you can manipulate the colors. You can make them as dark as you want. You can make them as soft as you want. It's all about layering and, letting it dry naturally versus dabbing some of it up while it's still wet. Okay, so I decided that since I have kind of a sky color background and rainbow, that I needed some clouds. So I just grabbed some cardstock from my stash over here that I've already used for various things, and I'm just going to wing it and cut out a couple clouds here with my little fussy cutting scissors and arrange those at the top of the layout. I love clouds. Clouds are fun. I love making, I wouldn't call this a landscape design, but whenever I have a sky or, grass in the sky, I like to put clouds in the sky or birds or butterflies and kind of give the effect of a landscape. And so I thought the clouds were cute for that. And then I'm going to use a lot of the Pink Fresh Studio embellishments. I've got all the floral die cuts out there. I'm going to go through the other die cut pack that we get and just sort of play around. I'm going to use a couple of flowers here and there, not too much. I don't want to cover up a lot of the rainbow, but I do want some embellishments around the photos. And so I'm going to go through the flowers. Now, some of the flowers I'm going to wind up cutting into, but I'm going to work on that later. I decided to jazz up the edges of the clouds, so I ran them through my little edge distresser there to kind of make the edges a little more textured, and I think this creates a little bit more dimension and just gives them a little more of a 3D effect. And yeah, I think those look cute up there like that. So I took a break, let everything dry, and then I went crazy with my sewing machine. I used all the matching colors of thread to stitch down both edges of each of the rainbow stripes there. And then I'm going to use my fingernails very carefully so I don't get a paper cut to kind of ruffle up the edges of these. Now, some of the edges aren't coming up because I covered them with gesso, so they're kind of stuck down. But what I could, I bent up, and it's going to create some real fun dimension. Oh, I have a little visitor here. There's Paige. She had to come check out and see what I was doing and give me kisses. And, I can't resist kisses from either of my kids, but yeah, she always has to come in and see what I'm doing. So you may see her again later. Okay, so I'm just playing around with the embellishments here. Some of these I wind up using, some of them I don't. This is just sort of a test run here to see what matches and what looks good where, what's too busy. You never know until you just start to play with all the things. So I definitely wanted to use this little banner puffy sticker here. I thought the colors were perfect. And I'm just trying to find things that have all the colors in the rainbow stripes and kind of scatter them around. And I went back and forth about how much to layer under the photos and then how much to layer in the clouds. Did I want to put anything in the clouds, or did I want to just leave them as is? So in the meantime, I decided to put some adhesive foam behind the clouds, And this is going to raise them up off the page. This is the same kind of foam that I put behind the photos. And it's just kids craft foam that I get at Walmart. I think Michael's also has it. Oh, there's Paige again. She likes to lay her head on my projects. So yeah, she has all this wild hair. But yeah, she's funny. So I decided to add a little bit more gesso, soften up this pink on the right. It was looking a little bit too pink, so I wanted to soften it up a little bit. And then I'm going to start to glue things down here. I'm going to start with the clouds and get those glued down. And if anyone asks, I'm using Scotch tacky glue in my fine liner bottle there. It's always worked for me. It's the only glue that I've ever used in that bottle, and it works great. So now I'm going to work on thread. I pulled out all the colors, almost all the colors in the rainbow, and I decided to go with the blue, and it's slightly darker than the blue background, which I like because it stands out just a little bit more. It's not too dark to where it's distracting, but I think it kind of enhances the blue shades. So I'm going to add a little bit underneath where the banner is under the photos, and then a little bit up here at the top by the pink flowers. And you know, the layouts this month have come together so easily. I don't know about you guys, but for me, they've come together easily because everything matches so well. And I know a lot of it is from the same collection, which that does make it super easy. But the colors, everything just goes so well, and everything is so pretty and springy. And I don't know, it's just, maybe it's because these are my favorite colors. I tend to struggle more with like the Christmas colors and the darker colors. Those I tend to struggle with, but these colors just, I don't know, they just work for me. And I'm able to work faster, and things just click for me a lot better with these brighter colors. So I think everybody has colors they struggle with, or you know, images or certain shapes or things that they struggle with, and certain things that they excel in. And I feel like these are my colors, you know. It just, I don't know, it just flows. Does that make sense? Do you guys have things that you struggle with versus things that just flow easily for you? And I like working with things that make me struggle because it challenges me. It's just a different feeling when you're making the projects, I guess. So I added my title there while I was rambling on, and I decided to make the title "She is the Rainbow." And I used the little skinny white puffy stickers from Pink Fresh Studio. And then I've been wanting to use this sticker pack. I haven't used any from this one yet. I believe these are crepe paper, the puffy stickers, really thick puffy stickers. And I think they're from the Valentine's Day line. I'm going to use these 3 candy hearts because A, the colors match, B, they're hearts, and I love hearts, and C, the little sayings on them are adorable. So I thought, yep, we're going to use those and make those work. And I know the title is kind of hard to see here in the light, but you can see it better later in the still photos. So here's where I'm going to cut up a little bit of the die cuts from Pink Fresh Studio, the flowers, because I just wanted one flower down there. I didn't want the entire big cluster. So I wanted to try to bring a couple things down underneath the title. So I wanted to just add a couple of flowers and kind of mix and match all the colors. So I wanted something yellow, something pink. I'm going to add in something blue, I believe. And yeah, just a little cluster of something down there at the bottom. I'm going to use a couple of these puffy hearts from the Pink Fresh Studio puffy sticker sheets. And I'm just going to scatter those around in a couple places. And I just kind of got to the point right here where I was thinking, okay, I think I almost have enough stuff. I didn't want to go overboard and start to add too much. You know, when you have these little teeny tiny embellishments, you just want to continue to add and add and add. But sometimes you don't really need to. Sometimes you have enough stuff, and you have to be careful and not to cover up some of the, you know, other fun elements of your layout, like this rainbow. I didn't want to add too much more on top of it. I wanted the rainbow to stand out and not be clustered up with a bunch of things. but I didn't want to leave the bottom part of the rainbow completely empty, whereas I have the clouds up at the top. So that's why I added the little cluster of flowers down there. So last minute, I decided to add a little bit more of the Cocklebell's coral color over to the right. The colors dry just a little bit too pink for me, and I wanted to pull in a little bit more of that rosy, corally pink color, so I just dabbed a little bit more of that in, and then a little bit more of blue, except this time I used some blue powder, and I used the Tilt-A-Wheel Teal, again from a kit way back when. So I'm just going to dab a little bit more. And in the end, it still dries pretty light, so it's not going to be, you know, something that's so dark that it takes away from anything. But yeah, I just kind of dab. And some of the thread that I had stitched with, you know, obviously it's going to look blue now, but that's okay. That's not that big a deal. I mainly did the stitching for details. So I decided to add some white splatters, and usually when I add white splatters, it's because I'm trying to create snow, and this is by far not a snowy layout, but you know what? I didn't want to add a bunch of colored splatters because I felt like it wouldn't look soft and airy, and I felt like white was the softest color I could get. So I was just showing you that I added a couple of more little teeny tiny puffy heart stickers there, and I'm almost finished. The last thing I'm going to do is add in my journaling. I'm using my little T-square ruler there and my pencil to draw in some lines, and then I don't want to use a black pen today because there's really no black in the layout, so I'm going to use my gold metallic pen there to write my journaling. But yeah, that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. It was so fun to make. It actually came together pretty quickly for me because I'm a very slow scrapper, but like I said, everything just works and flows because it's all so pretty and so springy, and you know, rainbows and flowers and clouds, and yeah, I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, everyone is making such pretty pages with these kits, and I love seeing what you guys are making with them. I hope this gives you some ideas to try with that rainbow paper. If you haven't used it yet, don't be afraid to cut it out and rearrange it on another page, and yeah, make it something unique and different. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video next week. And yeah, I've ran out of things to say, so I will see you next time.